Coming up on Tech News Today, is Google Music about to launch out of beta? Do you own your Twitter account? Are you sure? And log in securely without a password thanks to DARPA. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, November 11th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring voice-activated Sync App Link. Now you can control select smartphone apps with your voice, so you keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Check it out in the 2012 Ford Fiesta and at Ford.com/technology. And by Slingbox, which just turned your iPad into a television. Slingbox introduces their new iPad app, so now you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you take it. Check it out at Best Buy or slingbox.com/twit. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
I'm Jason Howell. There we go.
Iyaz Akhtar is at a wedding, but in the chat room, apparently.
I think he was in the chat room. Now he's not.
He says, have a good show. I'll be listening.
Oh.
Listen close, Iyaz, because you've been replaced by Nicole Carrico.
Today, the part of Iyaz will be played by.
Yes, your understudy, Nicole Carrico, is stepping in. Nicole Carrico, welcome to the show. It's good to have you.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Nicole Carrico used to produce. Why am I saying her full name every time?
Well, it's just
because there's so many Nicoles in the world.
Well, certainly at Tech TV, there were so many.
Yeah, I used to produce websites at Tech TV, and then went on to bigger and better things at HBO and AOL and
maybe bigger, but never better.
Never better. Nothing better. Except now. Now is better.
Now is best.
Congratulations, Nicole. You have arrived.
You finally made it.
It's just so good to be here.
Let's start off with something that just broke this morning, less than an hour ago. The Verge reported that Google has sent out invites for an event on November 16th in where is it? San Francisco, or is it down on their campus? Actually, I can't remember because they blurred out the location of it. But it's 2 p.m. Pacific time on November 16th. And The Verge says their sources tell them it's going to be for Google Music. CNET broke the news last month that Google is planning a social twist to a traditional MP3 download store. The Wall Street Journal has previously reported that they would connect the music to Google+, which is, I guess, what they mean by the twist. But, yeah, sounds like we might get a Google Music update on November 16th.
Okay.
Not excited.
So,
Nobody's excited.
I'm excited. There's not much to go on here. I mean, in a perfect world, I don't know. I hope it's an amazing event. And
the invite says these go to 11.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is like I'm so focused on today being 11/11, 11/11.
Do you think they meant to do it today and they couldn't get the deals?
I think it's a missed opportunity. They didn't have it lined up for today.
Well, today is actually 63 day if you want to get.
You want to get
serious
technical about it?
Get precise.
Yeah, or is it 0x3f? I can't remember.
I think it might just be coincidental. You know, like whatever these are, they're going to be awesome. So they go to 11.
What are these? If it's Google Music,
I don't know. I mean, these songs.
The only indication we have about the
prices?
social twist was the note that said if you and someone in your G+, you could buy a song and I could share it with you, Sarah,
right.
if you and I were contacts, and you could listen to it once. And then Tom could buy a song and share it with you, and you could listen to it another time, and that's it. Two plays with people in your contact.
Well, it's better than an excerpt, that's for sure.
It is. I'll grant you that, but I don't think it's much of a twist.
No.
I think they're only going to have Spinal Tap songs available.
That would be a twist, at least.
Would you like to place a wager on that?
Yeah.
I'll bet you about that.
I'll tell you what they're not going to have, songs from EMI, because EMI ain't going to exist for very much longer.
Oh, no!
Citi is selling EMI. Citi owns EMI. They kind of got them in a default. There was the previous company ran out of money, and Citi had the loan. So they're like, now we own a music company. What do we do with this? They've been trying to sell them for a while. Vivendi SA is going to buy them. Their Universal Music Group will actually get them for $1.9 billion. So essentially, EMI and Universal are going to merge, except for the publishing operation of EMI, which is the part that collects the royalties on performances of songwriting. EMI's publishing operation is going to Sony for $2.2 billion. So it's getting split up. They have not made it official, but Wall Street Journal and pretty much everybody else is saying, yeah, this is a done deal. They may wait until the weekend to make it official. EMI has been probably, I think, the most innovative of the big four because they were doing so poorly. They had to take chances. So I think this may be a bad thing for the consumer because we won't have an EMI in there trying stuff.
What I mean, why would Universal not want the publishing portion of EMI?
Well, they probably wanted it.
Or maybe they can make more money.
Just Sony outbid them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think that they would want it, but they probably said, well, it's not worth $2.2 billion. We'll just take the recording music. We have a lot of publishing, so... And obviously, Citi was taking a long time to figure out a deal. They couldn't get anyone to agree the amount of money they want. It may have been Citi that said, well, the only way we're going to do this is if we split it up and get two different buyers.
Would it have anything to do with the European possibly investigating this whole transaction if the sale had only gone to one entity rather than a split?
Earlier this week, the independent trade label group Impala asked the European Commission to investigate an acquisition of EMI if either Sony or Universal Music Group got them. So now that they're both getting a piece of them, that does change the equation of whether it's antitrust or not.
Right.
But they are going to have to pass European Commission examination to make this happen.
It sounds like an unfortunate development for consumers, actually. As you noted, EMI was innovative.
Yeah.
They were trying things, and now if we're just consolidating into three, I think that the consumer in the end is going to lose out.
The four major record companies account for more than 80% of the songs sold. So now it's the three major record companies, if this does get approved.
Well, maybe it makes
also sounds like it's... Sorry, it just also seems like it's going for a steal because in 2007 it went for 8.3, what is that, billion? And now it's... No, that can't be. I'm reading that wrong. I must be. What is 4.2 billion pounds? No, I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong.
4.2 billion pounds would be about $6 billion. I thought
that was 50 cents US. I'm just looking here about Terra Firma before it ended up with Citigroup.
Ah, right.
And it was going for then versus now.
Yeah, they sold the combined amount here for 4.1 billion. So less dollars than pounds. If 4.2 billion pounds is right, that's less. Anyway, the upshot is we got one less record company, unless they don't pass EC muster, which they might not.
That's possible.
Apple came out with a statement today saying the recent iOS software update addressed many of the battery issues that some customers experienced on their iOS 5 devices. We continue to investigate a few remaining issues. In other words, admitting the iOS 5 update didn't fix the battery issue, at least not for everyone. A variety of comments on Apple support forums have so far revealed several people who say that it did not fix battery life. CNET has a nice collection of them. I updated last night and it didn't fix anything, losing 6% an hour in standby. Lost 15% in 45 minutes and I didn't even use the phone. What happened? This update is no help. It drains the battery even quicker. A lot of stuff like that. In addition, the Next Web reports that some users aren't getting a proper contact name displayed when they receive a call. GigaOM reports that users are complaining of microphone problems, Wi-Fi signal issues, and difficulty connecting to cell networks. So some people are complaining that this update actually has made the phone worse instead of better.
Well, you know, I just checked my phone. I had went ahead and gone through the update this morning when I had enough time to do so. And I left the house with 100% battery life, and I am at 100% battery life right now. So,
nice.
Given I have not used this phone in the last hour and a half, but I also lost nothing.
It addressed many of the battery issues that some customers experienced, particularly Sarah Lane.
You sound like one of the lucky ones.
Pretty lucky, yeah. No, I mean,
well, no, that's good. I think a lot of people are looking at these stories and saying, "See, it didn't fix anything; it made it worse." Apple obviously didn't put out an update that didn't fix anything. They tested enough to know that. What they probably did do was put out an update that fixed certain problems, but either had unintended consequences or didn't fix all the problems.
And this is one of these over-the-air updates, but you do at least have a choice of when you're going to update it. Do you have like a rollback option if it really did destroy your phone?
I wonder if there's a difference between whether you did a full update or whether you did the partial update, the incremental update that you get over Wi-Fi, whether that matters or not. Also, iPhone 4S now available contract-free if you still want one in the United States online store. Starting today, you can get the 16 gig for $649, 32 gig for $749, and the 64 gig for $849. So close to $1,000, contract-free, and you can use it on AT&T or T-Mobile Edge.
That's the thing is, at first, because of where I am in my contract with Verizon, I was like, wow, to get an unlocked phone, if I want to go 4S, because this is still just the 4, is almost the same price that I'd have to pay anyway for the phone that I wanted, but I'm on Verizon, so it's no use to me.
Not going to use this thing on Verizon. Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, Ford, featuring available voice-activated sync app link, enabling you to control select apps with your voice. Not quite your mind, but pretty close. You can just keep your eyes on the road, your hands on the wheel, drive safely, people, but still play Pandora, still thumbs up things. Have your Twitter feed read to you. OpenBeak is an app that will actually read your timeline, read your at replies. This is all making sync better. And, of course, you know we've talked about Ford voice-activated sync. It allows you to get all kinds of information. Nicole, you were saying you had it in your car when you drove across country recently.
I do. I just brought a 2011 Ford Escape, and it came with Ford Sync. I do not have AppLink. It is not available on my system, but I drove from New York to Los Angeles. I took 6 weeks to do it. I went all over the country, and I didn't have a printed map. I didn't have anything.
You just say,
phone.
Ford, where am I?
I actually put in the addresses of my destinations, and I gave them all names, and I would get in the car in Cummings, Georgia, and say Granddad, and Ford would guide me directly to my grandfather's front door.
Well, the Ford voice-activated sync app link is built on an API platform, so there'll be all kinds of new apps running, and it is available in the 2012 Ford Fiesta. You can learn more about this and other technologies Ford is bringing to its vehicles at ford.com/technology, and we thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Logitech, however, is not giving a lot of support to Google. This is Logitech's CEO, their new CEO, at an analyst and investor day. Garino De Luca acknowledged mistakes the company made with its Logitech Review Google TV set-top box. Said a mistake of implementation of a gigantic nature, according to the transcript posted on Seeking Alpha, executed a full-scale launch with a beta product, and it cost us dearly. And then finally he said, to make a long story short, we thought we had invented sliced bread, and we just made them. We made a commitment to just build a lot because we expected everybody to line up for Christmas and buy these boxes at $300. That was a big mistake.
Well, he does go on to say that he would definitely do it again if Google were to establish Google TV, just kind of, he says, with a significantly smaller and more prudent approach. So I think, like, part of the problem is that Google TV was still, like, brand new, just the whole concept of it.
Yeah, the idea that he was like, this is a horrible mistake, a costly mistake, and I would definitely do it again.
Yeah, that's what I love about it.
Finally, I think he was trying to salvage a little bit of a relationship with Google at the end. He's saying the grandchild of Google TV will happen. It will be inevitable. He's trying to spin it back to say, look, we were just too early to it. But remember, this is the guy who took over for CEO Gerald P. Quinlan. He was the guy. Quinlan was the guy who championed the review, but Quinlan stepped down in July, and DeLuca took over. So it's easy for him to say all these things were mistakes because they were some other guys.
Oh, well, but he might have been very vocal, like, I don't think this is a good idea, guys. And now it's finally his time to say how he really feels. I'm in charge. I wouldn't have done it this way. It was a terrible idea, and we'll have to go forward.
Well, so it was June or July that report surfaced that they actually. What was it? Revenue was exceeded by returns for the set-top boxes.
And negative revenue?
Negative revenue. They had to start selling them for less than cost in order to recoup.
They're not that bad. It's actually not the worst hardware I've ever played with. Like, my EPC was as much fun, if not, yeah, a little less than this.
Is this bad for Google when they go around to vendors? Right now, all they've got is Sony. Logitech's basically very clear. They're not making another one of these anytime soon. When they go around to get other hardware vendors on board for the next version of Google TV, which is just rolling out right now, all those guys are going to go, well, wait a minute. Why should we do this? Logitech says it's a huge mistake. What do they say?
Well, I mean, Logitech was pretty clear that even though Google might put out a wonderful product with Google TV, it wasn't ready. It was very much in beta, and they were sort of duped into thinking that, you know, it was the second coming of alternative television and made too many models and didn't know what to do with them. if Google can convince whoever they partner up with next that they're no longer in beta and prove that here were the problems with the Logitech unit, for example, we fixed all of this, I don't really see them being blackballed by any company. I mean, I think people will want to work with any sort of TV experience that's a good one. And Google's still a really solid brand.
Ken from Chicago in the chat room says, Google should say, don't sell a box for $300, idiot.
Yeah, no joke. I was about to say, you know, I can forgive the Logitech review because I got it at $100, and I've definitely got my $100 worth.
I'm still waiting for my update.
Yeah, me too.
All the Sony TVs got it, but my Logitech review hasn't got it yet.
Just hack it. Just hack it.
I know, I probably
it,
should. I'm just too lazy.
All
right, let's move on to a really interesting story coming out of Paid Content and ericgoldman.org's blog. Noah Kravitz, not a singer, that's Lenny Kravitz. Noah Kravitz worked for PhoneDog, which is an interactive mobile news and reviews web resource, and Kravitz worked as a reviewer and video blogger. He used the Twitter handle PhoneDog_Noah. That's not unusual. You see this a lot where companies have the person with the name, like Comcast Bill and that sort of thing. He got approximately 17,000 followers, and then when he left the company, he kept the Twitter account and changed the account name to Noah Kravitz. PhoneDog then sued, asserting claims for misappropriation of trade secrets, interference with economic advantage, and conversion. The court has dismissed the economic advantage claim. They say PhoneDog doesn't seem to have been able to connect the dots on actual financial harm. However, Chief Magistrate Judge Maria Elena James ruled that more evidence was needed for the conversion and trade secret claims to be evaluated, so she's letting those go ahead. Venkat Balasubramanian has excellent analysis at Eric Goldman's Technology and Marketing Law blog. Basically thinks this is going to end up in mediation, but it's an interesting question. I work for someone, I make a Twitter account, whose account is it?
Well, that's the interesting thing about it, is that we do see these kinds of accounts a lot, and oftentimes it's because the brand who the person is working for is bigger than the individual as far as reach. So they want to be associated with that brand in something like a Twitter handle. And then maybe they feel, you know, it's time for them to move on. They've got a following. The way that Twitter works is, as long as you've got a name that isn't reserved by somebody else, you can change your Twitter handle to whatever you want. So as far as the Twitter side of it, he did nothing wrong. And if he didn't sign any sort of a contract with PhoneDog stating you can't change his Twitter handle because it belongs to us and the content belongs to us, then I don't really see where they're going to get him.
I don't think a trade secret thing applies here. It's a password.
Well, the argument that the password to the account is a trade secret, I think, is a tenuous one at best.
He changed the password.
Right.
Now it's not a trade secret anymore.
But I think when you get into the question of was creating this Twitter account and building this audience and generating that reach and delivering this content what he was paid to do? Was he employed by this company to deliver this audience a certain amount of information, and was he doing it on the company time and at their direction? In which case, I think they have a very strong case that they do own that platform and that audience. If alternately he had a Twitter account, maybe he changed the name, as you said, changed his handle, increased it with a platform, but used it for a hybrid mix of promoting company information and his own, I think it becomes a real gray area. But intention matters, I think, in a case like this.
I think that's the only part of this that is important, is the conversion issue. If you don't know what conversion means, it's exactly what Nicole was just talking about. Who owns this account? And did he convert it into his own property illegally or not? Go ahead, Darren.
Well, I just look at this and it reminds me of like gamer tags, where you put the clan you're with before your name. I don't know anyone that would do that on Twitter. Hack 5 Darren. But but honestly, like Twitter is one of the few social networks I know of where you can actually change your name after the fact. That's like insane, right? So my question is, if that weren't the case, would he still have kept the Twitter username, PhoneDog_Noah?
I think it's a really interesting point because Twitter actually owns all of this.
Yes.
It doesn't belong to PhoneDog or Noah Kravitz. It belongs to Twitter. And we were talking before the show, it's similar to a blogging platform, right? If I have a blog, even if I set it up as part of my job, but it's on Blogger, can you then take the blog? It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to you. If you want to set up your own platform, then it belongs to you, and I can't take it with me. But this is something that doesn't really belong to either one of them. So they both have an argument, and I think there's no law that's going to apply neatly to this. So it's going to be interesting how this judge rules, because if, as Nicole said, you set it up at the company's request with the company's name from the beginning, then that seems like that account should remain under the control of the company. If, however, it's always been your account and you just picked Phone Dog because you worked there, and then the company said, hey, you've got a nice little Twitter thing there, why don't you use that as part of the job? Well, then it becomes more of a gray area.
It's interesting, too, the comparison you make to blogging. I mean, many blog engines give people the ability to export all of their data. So if you got to take it somewhere, you're splitting with a company, whatever, it's like there is another place that data can go. You can't do that with Twitter. I mean, there's no way to have a Twitter account that was the old PhoneDog_Noah live somewhere else, because it doesn't work that way, at least not yet.
No, I think I totally agree with you that this will be precedent setting, and it's very interesting to watch. But I do think the role in which he was engaged by the company, what he was hired to do, you know, he was a reviewer. He created content and distributed it on behalf of this company. And I think that really calls into question here whether or not his tweets and his Twitter account, therefore, were his own personal entity that and he should be able to retain, or whether it was all done under the coverage of intellectual property that belongs to the company while he's engaged in their employ. I
think the more interesting question then comes, what do companies do after this, right? Because the impulse will be, get everything in writing saying all of your Twitter accounts belong to us. But then nobody's going to want to use the Twitter account the way people use Twitter accounts, because there's like, well, that belongs to the company, so I'm going to use my personal account for my personal things. But the best way to build up a Twitter following is to do everything in one account and personalize it and be a person. That's why Comcast Cares, Comcast Bill, was so good, was because it was Bill, and he was being Bill. But when he left, Comcast Bill disappeared. He didn't take it with him.
Right.
And so now Bill doesn't have that. And he was a unique individual who was willing to put everything into that one account. Not everybody's going to want to do that. And so you may have to just, as a company, agree that, you know what? When you go, you take your Twitter account with you, because that's what's going to make you have the best Twitter account while you're here. If we try to control it and keep it and own it, it may end up being less of a benefit to us.
I think you're an optimist if you think that's the way they're going to go.
Well, I didn't say that's the way they're going to go, but that may be what smart companies need to do.
I agree that it's a best practice in social media to encourage authenticity and to be a person and human, but I think it's going to be, many companies are going to default to, while you are employed with us, you will create a Twitter account that we own, you will tweet on our behalf, and when you leave, we will maintain that.
And I think they'll often wonder why they don't get better response out of their Twitter accounts.
Well, certainly.
Gee. It's so puzzling. Let's finish up with DARPA, according to Michael Clooney at Network World's Layer 8 blog, detailing a new plan for password-free authentication development. They're having a meeting in Arlington, Virginia on November 18th to discuss this. It's a new project, so they're saying, we don't know how to do this yet, but we would like to. Active authentication looks to develop technology that determines identity through, quote, use of software applications that can determine identity through the activities the user normally performs. So instead of having to remember a big, long password and type it in, the obvious thing would be biometrics, you know, being able to touch something, have fingerprint recognition, something like that. But there could also be mouse movement, mouse tracking. There's a lot of work been done saying everybody's got a different pattern on how their mouse moves when they use a computer. Maybe we can use that to be our authentication. But the whole point of this is to come up with a way that is safe and secure to say who you are and log you into something without you having to remember a big, long 16-string word.
Well, I mean, I think all of this should be kind of considered layers. Nobody should be replacing one factor of authentication with another. I mean, you should be compounding them. You know, the password is something you know, like a YubiKey or something like the RSA fob is like something you have. I'm not sure if your mouse tracking is something you have. That's something you have, I think. Guess. Your biometrics is something you are, obviously. But it's
your fingerprint's something you have.
Unless you cut off somebody's
it's something you are.
And then it's something I have.
Yeah.
This
well,
is
if
true.
you steal my key fob or my fingers, either one, then you have them. Yeah.
Or your
That's why you need the second factor of something you know.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, though,
it could take some pressure off the something you know. Your something you know wouldn't have to be some, got to have an alphanumeric and non-alphanumeric and capitals and all that. Something you know could just be something you know.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of things you know, like rent is due on the 5th of the month.
Right.
And, oh, hey, that's actually a really good password. I don't use that one anymore, but, it was really long.
For something like mouse tracking, let's say your system is locked. You need to get past some sort of a screen in order to use it. I mean, how much mouse tracking can be tracked before someone's let in.
Well, yeah,
you know?
I mean,
it seems like that would all happen on the other side.
That is why they're having the meeting.
Yeah, it also sounds like they're talking about active authentication being a program for layered security, where depending on the level of access you need to the system, there are different hoops to go through. So maybe just the shake of the mouse is to unlock the screen or something. I don't know.
I think they're aiming for the right goal, which is, and they're basically saying, look, we don't know how to make this happen. We have some ideas of what might work and what might not, and there's problems with all of them, but we want to do a project that says, let's get rid of this ridiculous situation where to be secure, you have to remember a really long non-dictionary word. That's not sensible for anybody.
That also sounds like they've enlisted the right kind of help. They've gathered a lot of security experts, including the inventor of LoftCrack, one of my favorite old school tools for Microsoft password recovery. Yeah.
Cool. If you're interested in the meeting out there, and especially if you're near Arlington, Virginia, just search Active Authentication Meeting on Google and then look for the link that goes to fbo.gov, and that will take you to a page that tells you all you need to know if you're interested in attending. Let's move on to the news fuse. International Business Machines, a.k.a. IBM, in conjunction with Juniper Networks, today announced a new service called IBM-hosted Mobile Device Security, aimed at helping IT admins get control of mobile devices. Capabilities include making sure personal devices comply with corporate security policies, protecting them against malware, tracking user activity, making sure network connections are secured. It's going to work on all kinds of platforms like iOS, Android, BlackBerry, Nokia, and the idea is everybody wants to use their own phones, so let's make a secure, easy way for IT departments to allow you to use your home phone securely at your business.
Sony's losing their shirts over TVs. Well, they're losing money.
They're going naked.
They may also be running around half naked, but we don't know that for sure. CEO Howard Stringer isn't just sitting there twiddling his PSP. I mean, he does that, but he's not doing that about this. He told the Wall Street Journal there's a tremendous amount of R&D going into a different kind of TV set. Yeah, there is, Stringer. And Apple's apparently going to go for it. But Stringer doesn't believe that Apple will break into the television space with a new idea so easily. He tells the Journal it'll take a long time to transition to a new form of television. Maybe it will, maybe it won't.
Our TV business sucks, and we want to fix it, but it's going to take a long time, and we don't know how to do it.
Apple can't do it really quickly either. Eh.
It will change. I couldn't tell you how or when. But
don't ask me. I'm just the CEO of Sony.
The video game company Activision estimates that they sold more than 6.5 million copies of Modern Warfare 3 within 24 hours of its launch, and they only released it in the UK and North America. CEO Bobby Kotick called it the biggest entertainment launch of all time and pointed out that it was the third straight record-breaking Call of Duty release, so that means that the sales outdid Star Wars and Lord of the Rings movies.
Yeah, you compare box office receipts to sales. They outdid both of those. That's crazy.
That's incredible.
In the wake of Barnes & Noble's Nook tablet announcement, Amazon's been busy making it clear that they have Netflix too. We've heard that. But today, it was announced Amazon also has Hulu. The Nook made a big deal out of Hulu Plus. Amazon's now saying they not only have Hulu Plus, but also ESPN Score Center apps available on the Kindle Fire when it ships next week on the 15th. So stick that in your Nook and stream it.
Are you tired of the confusion between SIM and micro SIM? Well, I've got actually bad news. It's going to get worse.
Oh, no.
The Verge reports that Giesecke and De Vriend, that's a German firm that brought you the first commercial SIMs in 1991, have debuted a new Nano SIM that trims about 30% of the size off the already tiny micro SIM. So if you're an adapter maker, then get on that.
You're going to get rich and probably swallow your SIM.
Don't swallow your SIM.
Oh, boy. Google just bought 2 new companies to help with Google Plus and Chrome. Katango is a social algorithm specialist that will focus on improving circles, the circles feature within Google Plus. The second company is Aperture, not the science, and they are known for their in-page pop-up windows, as you've seen on other sites like the New York Times. They're supposedly helping with the end-user experience in Chrome.
All right. Microsoft began selectively rolling out the Xbox 360 Fall Dashboard update to its public preview program members today. The Metro-like interface also comes with cloud storage for profiles and saves, additional Connect voice search and gesture support, live TV programming, new social tools. No word on when the rest of us mortals will be able to get it. But fall doesn't end until December 21st. So there's still time.
That's when winter starts?
That's when winter starts. Isn't that crazy?
My goodness, yeah. Sony wants to encourage you people with stacks of UMDs for your PSP to consider buying the PlayStation Vita, even though it doesn't have a UMD drive. Sony Japan announced UMD Passport program coming via an app December 6th that will let Japanese PSP owners register UMD games to secure discounts for repurchasing titles on the new console. Yes, I said repurchasing. The games that you already bought can now be repurchased.
You know those games you bought that we don't have a cartridge slot for anymore? Don't worry. We're going to let you buy them again.
For a discount, though.
But it'll be cheaper.
A little less.
Yeah.
But it won't be free.
No.
It worked on the Wii.
We are Sony. So.
I mean, we need money for our TV program. Come on.
I'm just saying, I bought Mario Brothers on the Wii again. You know, the original. Anyway. Yeah.
That's love.
It turns out there's an app called IMWP7, and that lets both Windows Phone users find each other. And it's also something that sometimes finds prototype Windows phones. Now, the WP Central blog has posted a screenshot of a listing of a Nokia device codenamed Champagne. And according to WP Central, it's running Windows Phone 7.10.8711. And maybe it's a fancy number for Tango, which is rumored to be the next version of Windows Phone 7.
There we go. In the wild, Champagne. Let's move on to the randomizer. Nice cork pop.
Randomizer.
So, Fandroid has a YouTube embedded video from someone in Hong Kong who claims to show the new face unlock feature in Ice Cream Sandwich being unlocked by a picture. They swear in the YouTube video that they trained the phone to unlock from the real face before they show it with the picture, although they didn't show that part in the video, so I'm a little skeptical, but here goes. If you look at the video, they hold the picture up from one phone, the other phone sees it, and unlocks.
So it's not even like it's the same size as a face. It's a picture on another phone.
So they do have a link.
Yeah, they do have a link.
They do have a link in the YouTube to him setting it up, but they're two different videos.
Yeah.
That's why you got to show it in. You got to show it in sequence, or it could be just two different phones for all we know.
And even then, it can't have any swooshy shots because, you know, Joss Wheaton will use those to kind of bridge gaps.
That's right.
There's a lens flare in here. I'm going to be pretty reluctant to believe this is real.
Wait, why is there a polar bear?
Jump cuts.
Yeah, I haven't previewed this
no,
setup, so I don't know
I
where exactly it is. Maybe it's probably
He's showing himself trained. It's the same guy. I'll give him that. But this is not a scientific evidence.
Yeah, we need a single cut video, I think, to illustrate end to end.
Yes, please.
That said, if this is possible, it's not a good thing.
No.
Yeah, but how
it's possible.
Like, I mean, I know we're skeptical that it's real, but if it is.
But Sarah, even if this is possible, it's just another layer of security. You still want to have your swipe to unlock or your PIN code or whatever it may be after this.
You're all about the layers.
Yes.
And that's a good point. You don't really want to be relying on face to unlock as your only form of security here.
Yeah, what if you get beat up? You're like, all I need is to call the authorities.
Who's beating people up?
I'm just saying, if there's face recognition and that's the only way that you could get in, you know, look like yourself.
Violence is not the answer.
I know, but
it's
it's not
Sarah
your
Lane's approach to security. Didn't she suggest cutting off hands to get around the DARPA initiative?
Actually, it's a good point.
I'm just saying, I mean, if you stay on my good side, you won't have a problem.
I have lived this long by following that advice.
Absolutely.
Sarah's just trying to say, Tom, it would be a shame if something happened to you in your little Android phone.
Things break. Accidents happen. Unless you leave me another $100 and some chocolate. Let's take a quick break and thank our other sponsor. I know. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Slingbox. And Slingbox introduces their new iPad app. Now you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you take it. You can find Slingbox or see a demo at Best Buy or check it out at slingbox.com. Plug it into your home internet, plug it into your home television, watch all the television you get anywhere in the world you have an internet connection. If you have an internet connection in deepest, darkest Siberia in the forest, you can watch your television from Iowa. It doesn't matter. You don't have to pay anything extra above the cost of the box and maybe some apps, and you're on your way to watching your TV how you want it anywhere you go. Your iPad is now an extra TV that you can take with you. Go check it out. Slingbox.com or a demo at Best Buy. Slingbox and your home TV now appearing on iPads everywhere. Let's take a look at the calendar.
Sprint is locking down iPhone 4S SIMs. For new customers anyway, the company will unlock the SIMs, but only if you can prove that you're taking it abroad, and also only for customers in good standing for
Passport,
90 days.
please.
I have a feeling that if you called and, you know, you've been a Sprint customer for a long time, well, I guess then you would probably have been in good standing for 90 days, but the 90 days seems like just one of those things.
Well, and you can, if you have a current iPhone 4S from Sprint that's unlocked, because they all shipped unlocked, right? It's going to stay unlocked.
Right.
Apparently, they're not going back and trying to lock up all the old ones.
So I guess that's something to be said for anybody who waited in line.
Yeah, right.
It stays unlocked.
Early adopters win this time.
Although if you're in good standing for 90 days. The Droid Razor's on sale now. It is $111.11 at Amazon Wireless.
Oh, right, because today's November 11th.
What a clever price.
You know, this day was much more exciting for me, November 11th, 11/11, than 2011. Just kind of ruins it.
Yeah. Well, times were different then.
They were.
I like the way the British show this date. The British have it way better, the way that they format it. It looks
right, because they put the 11 before the 11. You like that better?
I like it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Darren. I never thought about that. That is better. By the way, the Droid Razor is also rooted. The root tool is only available for Windows users, at least right now, and there's no recovery tool as of yet. So if you want to play around, just know what you're getting yourself into. Adobe's released the final Flash Player version for Android and the BlackBerry Playbook, promising future updates. I don't know about that.
They said they'll maintain it. They're not gonna. There's not going to be any 11.2 though.
Just don't hold your breath.
Hey, a version 11.1 on 11/11/11.
It's so unexpected.
And you can run it on your Droid Razor that you bought for $11.11.
You know what we should do? Talk about this on Twitter.
Yes, with a hashtag.
Yeah.
That's all one.
I think people would get a kick out of that.
I'm going to do it right now.
Science Hack Day SF is happening all this weekend, November 12th through the 13th. You can find out more information at sf.sciencehackday.com. Mario 3D Land is launching on Monday, November 13th. And all next week, starting on Tuesday the 14th, is the Enterprise 2.0 conference in Santa Clara, California.
Now, let's be clear, folks. That is a conference for enterprise business. All you Star Trek fans, that is not your enterprise conference.
That's an important clarification. Thank you, Tom.
Different
I
group
think
of
that if
people.
they'd like to participate,
I think they'll be disappointed.
They'd be welcome.
I'm sure they would be.
I mean,
they just might be disappointed.
It's not going to be like very, you know, it's not going to be hostile like Wolf 359 or something. You still might learn something.
And costumes are encouraged.
No one's being
People will
assimilated.
take pictures of them.
That would be the best Enterprise 2.0 conference ever.
Bringing it back.
Let's check what's incoming.
Incoming message.
Got an email here from David M, who says, about that Steam breach you talked about yesterday on the show. Here's their post. Usernames, hashed and salted passwords, game purchases, email addresses, billing addresses, and encrypted credit card information were all in the data that is suspected to have been stolen. The important keyword, David points out, are hashed, salted, and encrypted. It probably means that crackers got a big list of encrypted blobs instead of credit cards. Sadly, we don't know how they were encrypted, so the missing keywords here are really full disclosure. Still, it's far better than Sony or EA's Origin.
Absolutely. I am totally with David here. I think that all companies should actually disclose ahead of time before you even give them information, not only like what hashing mechanism they're using, but if they're salted, what kind of encryption algorithms they're using. Is it some proprietary stuff they got from some shady security vendor, or is it some good open source stuff and using security best practices?
Can you explain really briefly, because I bet there's some people in the audience who don't know, why it's so important to have the passwords not only encrypted but hashed and salted?
Sure. So if I hash your password, Tom, then we can reverse it by trying all of the possible hashes of different passwords and see if one of them matches. But I can't if we salt that, because what we've done is when we basically encrypted your password, we encrypt it with a little bit of extra data. Maybe it's the time that you set up your password, or maybe it's some other variable that changes. But it's a variable that, as the hacker is concerned, we don't even know, and it'd be way too time consuming to try everything.
But the system knows, and that's how it's able to decrypt it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you would like to learn more, look it up on Google or watch Hack 5.
Yeah, there's a episode called Salty Hashes. And
there you go.
Kind of, yep.
This conversation is making me hungry.
Me too. Let's go to the diner.
You can also go to Hallie's Diner and get a lovely salted hash with eggs. It's delicious.
Before we do that, another email from Jared Lysette. This is in regards to the story yesterday about the Estonian and Russian hackers who had installed malware on millions of computers. He says the easiest way to find your IP address is through GRC's DNS spoofability test. The website is www.grc.com/DNS/DNSHTM. Just scroll down, start a normal test. After it's done, scroll down and it'll give you your DNS's IP address. If you don't have a rogue, you'll also know how secure they are on top of it.
Yeah, you know what? Shields Up does this too. I forgot about this. What am I thinking? GRC is, of course, the easy place to send people if you have a question about IP addresses or this sort of thing. So if you are still worried about that Trojan we were talking about yesterday, the DNS attacker, we made a bit.ly link, bit.ly/FBIDNS. Will take you to the page where you can look up whether your IP address is one of those that is vulnerable. But yeah, go to grc.net and go to actually grc.com/DNS/DNS.htm, and you can find out what your DNS is. Doesn't matter what system you got. So thanks to Steve Gibson for that. That's fantastic. All right, folks, thanks to everybody on our Reddit. TechNewsToday.reddit.com is the place to submit stories and vote on what stories you want to hear us talk about. We use this in compiling our lineup, so please go check it out. And thanks to all the moderators that operate this for us, as well as the folks who submit stories. And even if you just go and vote for things, that's actually extremely helpful because we want to know what kind of stuff you're interested in. So technewstoday.reddit.com for that. Also, submit your favorite moments of Tech News Today from throughout the year, or maybe the worst moments, at twit.tv/bestof. You can do it for all the Twitch shows. There's a drop-down menu for Tech News Today. Put in the episode number. You put in the moment. If you've got time code as well as the air date, that helps even more in getting us to, have we gotten many of these yet, Jason?
Yeah, we've been getting a few. We could definitely use more.
All right.
Please, make it easier for me.
Yes, you are making Jason make us a better best of episode.
That's right. The
Every
more
time
you submit, the awesomer it's going to be.
Submit till it helps.
Yes.
And the more you submit, the more Jason gets to drink.
That's right. Do you want Jason to be unhappy?
Yeah.
Do you
want me to run out of beer?
Even bad
Or Jason could drink and put together the best of. You never know. It'd be great.
Exactly. That's what happened last year. That's why it was so awesome.
That explains so much.
Nicole Carrico, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
really
you for
appreciate
having me.
it. Let folks know what you're up to and where they can find you online.
Well, where you can find me online is really about me/Nicole Carrico, and I think Jason was kind enough to put that link down in the
That's
URL.
right, it's there.
So you can check me out. I'm on Twitter, Mulatini, and it's been real fun, guys. Nice to see you again.
You
nice
too.
having you on the show. Thanks everybody for listening or watching. You can find us on the. Oh wait, Darren. Almost forgot Darren. What's on Hack 5 this week?
Oh, we're turning Windows 7 machines into virtual access points. Shannon's got cool Google Doc tools to make it more usable. And then if you head over to the Hack Shop, this guy, the Pineapple version 3 just came out. We'll have a whole bunch more on it next week.
That's why Darren doesn't know what day it is, because he's been working so hard on those pineapples. So throw him some support, people. Jeez. He's been pouring his heart and soul into these things.
Just weeks and weeks and weeks of coding. Anyway.
Check it out, hack5.org, HAK5.org. Thanks, everybody, for listening or watching. Again, I'm going to thank you twice. Twit.tv/TNT is our website. You can email us, TNT@twit.tv, or give us a call. We have a Google Voice number, 260-TNT-SHOW. It's a free call in Butler, Indiana, so there's no reason you Indianans shouldn't be calling us. Dan Patterson joins us on the show Monday. We'll see you then.